want to do is for people to understand the... Hi, it's me, Dr. D, and we're here to give you some fantastic conversation. Now get your pen and paper ready, because the information that you're going to get today is going to be fantabulous. It's going to take you to the next level in your life. Have you ever sat there and thought, I am so sick and tired of being sick and tired of that job? Or I've had this idea rolling around in my head, and I wonder, what can I do? You woke up in the morning and you thought, you know, this is it. There's something that I need to do, and I need to do it for myself. Well, you got the right channel, baby, today. Because here I am. And you know, like they say, behind every wonderful woman, there's a grand man. And I have got one of the grandest, the most fantabulous man with me. And he is here to let you guys know what the real deal is, because he's got the 411. And you know what? It's all about you, globally, you. And you want to know what we're talking about? Well, I'm going to swing over here to the grand man himself, Sir Edward Henderson. Edward, let the people know why we're here and what we're going to bring to the world on a global scale.
Well, globally, it is so good to be back. We're going to be talking about entrepreneurship. We're going to be talking about what it takes to get there. We're going to talk about the things behind your mental, behind your spirit, behind what it really takes to get to the next level and to be independent of your 9 to 5, of the way we're conditioned to work for somebody else. We're going to give you the tools to really go forward and become an entrepreneur. Me and the wonderful Dr. D.
And you know what? Now listen, if you're on a job, understand, we're not telling you to quit your job today. But first of all, let's get the mind right. When you go to work, do you understand you're representing a brand, who you are? Do you know when you go to work, you are giving the best of you that there is? Do you know when you go to work, you're really on a training field to know how to do whatever it is you need to do, right? Because some people, Sir Edward, they get on a job and they say, all I am is a cashier, or all I am is the administrative assistant. People have to get their mindset to know, if you're there, when you got the job, you really went into a contract, don't you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a training ground, and like you said, it's a contract for a deliverable from you.
Right, deliverable goods.
Based on either the potential you have to learn that skill set,
go ahead,
or oftentimes you're bringing a fantastic skill set to someone else's dream, to someone else's vision, which after time, you've learned well enough to do it on your own and become an entrepreneur.
Well, yeah, because you're really an entrepreneur, because when you fill out the application, you put your qualifications on there, don't you?
Yeah, it's required. They want to know a little everything about you.
So you're qualified, you're already qualified to do what? Something.
Yes, to follow your dream, to follow your vision, whatever that is in your gut, in your spirit that calls you to say, hey, I want to do this today. And I think one of the things about Globally You and your vision, which is so amazing, why I had to be a part of it, was that we're going to talk to people about answering that call within and say, well, how do you take that call within and turn it into a business?
Yeah, because you're already a business. Because haven't you heard that? Mind your own
business.
And you have to do that on a daily basis. So you're already an entrepreneur. You're already minding a business. It's just that here at Globally You, for understanding, uniqueness, university of what? We're sitting here to inspire, educate, motivate, and empower you with the information. Now, we're not just going to sit here and be the talking heads. We're going to have people that have walked the walk and that have stepped out. As a matter of fact, Sir Edward, I took a note. Making a decision. Okay? Now, first of all, like I said, you need pen and paper, so write this down, the word decision. Also, an encyclopedia and a dictionary is really going to be handy if you plan on watching us, because remember, we're here to empower, educate, all right? Now, just a short definition. Making a decision. Everybody got to make a decision.
Absolutely.
A conclusion or resolution after considering something.
Powerful.
Now, when it comes to decision, I want you to kind of, what do you think about decision making, Sir Ed?
Sure, sure. You know, for me, and I'm not saying this is right for you, but I think it's something that you really want to consider. When I have a decision, especially one that I know that can be impactful and life-changing, and particularly when it comes to business, my business, the business of me, the business of you, globally you.
Yes.
I like to consult my faith, my relationship with God. You know, that's my first place. I believe in centering all things that I do around that, and lifting up my thoughts, my vision, and making any decision, but especially our business. And I think a lot of the time our community doesn't hear those stories about how that entrepreneur took a knee and prayed on that very vision he had to make a powerful decision to walk away from that job that they were going to retire from in 5 years, and say, this is in me to start this hardware business and make that hardware business and get my brother to join me, and next thing you know, you've opened up Home Depot. That decision to say, hey, you know what, I'm driving packages on a bicycle to and fro, and next thing you know, I'm going to engage family and friends, and this thing is going to grow so big, and it's going to become Big Brown and become UPS, and so on, from the Gates working out of their garage, from having the decision to say, man, this has failed a couple times, but I'm going to stay with it. And next thing you know, we know the story of Gates and Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. But you too have to find a way to take that decision of yours and make it not only a business decision, but a spiritual one. And I find that if my spirit is bound to that decision, and I've looked at all the consequences of my action, meaning if I walk away from that job, meaning if I walk away from those benefits which I pay for and I work for, what are those options on the other side? Can I afford to provide benefits and so forth for my family if I become an entrepreneur? What is the real cost? So we're not saying just simply go out on faith, but I'm saying you need to have that as leading you in the front. And then you have to do a real assessment of what your real next steps have to be. And you have to draw a line between reality and wants and needs. And that's the first steps for any decision I make.
Well, you know, Sir Ed, you said something very key that really is applicable to anyone's life. Why? Because when you have faith to go and work for that job that when you applied for the job,
sure,
you filled out the application.
Yeah.
You had really the innate faith to know you're going to get the job, because you're going out buying clothes and already making plans in your head what you're going to do with the first check. and really,
I prayed I got the job.
Right. And you prayed that you get the job.
Yeah.
So when audience, when we talk about spirit and prayer, we here at Globally You tell you the truth, and we have you face reality, because no matter what people tell you, there is an inner being within you that motivates your faith. You have faith just to wake up in the morning to get up. You have faith when you step out of that bed knowing that you're going to be able to stand up.
Sure. Especially when you leave your house these days.
Right, especially when you leave the house, whether even your inner self is probably sometimes praying that you don't get in an accident. You pray, Lord, I don't want to be late for work. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So you might as well get used to knowing from whence your source and power and mind, frame of mind comes from. Yeah. Because that'll help people get to where they need to be.
Right. Why not take that mindset and apply it to being a businesswoman or a businessman?
Right, because you're running your own business anyway.
Yes.
Right. You know what? And another thing you said, when you made reference to working on a job,
sure,
and thinking that you're going to retire in 5 years, my thing was, what are you going to do after that?
What do you want to do? You know?
Exactly. So even when you're working on a job, and there's very few people that I know that want to work on a job until the day they die. So,
Well, it's no longer 55. Now it's 75 per the government. So I think a lot of folks are thinking about being an entrepreneur. Thus, Globally You is right on time.
yes, we're here to help you. We're here to guide you. And we're here to love you for who you really are. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Because, you know, people say, oh, you can just stay on that job. And girl, you got a good job.
Yes. Even when the dream has been given to you, the vision, you can feel it inside that you need to open that store, that shop, that bakery, that website, whatever it takes to get your dream out there. So, yeah, the naysayers are going to be there. Everyone, and some of the times, it's your family, it's your husband, it's your wife, but you've got to take your own self-worth and belief,
right?
And step out there.
The importance,
yeah,
of who you really are.
Yeah.
Because there's people that tell you, girl, if I quit that job tomorrow. Oh, really? Well, we're going to be back in a minute because we're not done yet, but we're going to take a break and just get ready. Flip the page because we've got some more conversation. Because remember, we're here to inspire, encourage, empower, and educate you because it is all about you.
Welcome back, Globally You audience. I am so happy to be with you today. You know, during the break, something came to mind. And, you know, I have a lot of friends who are well educated and, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs who have fought the good fight as I have and lost and won. And, you know, some of those folks are going to say, you know, why are you talking to your audience about the right mindset, the spirituality? Why aren't you talking about how to get financing, get relationship with the banks, or how to manage a P&L, or you know what to do when you can't collect, and some of those hardcore fundamentals of starting a small business, et cetera, et cetera. But I think there's an answer why we're starting here, and I think you have it, Dr. D.
I got mine.
Tell us, do tell us, 'cause I think they need to know.
And the key thing is what you said about the losses, the gain. You know how you lose and stuff. Because even with me, being in the corporate world for as long as I have,
yes, we were.
And back when you fill out your resume and you have these qualifications and all of that, and you go into the job, at that point, what you have to start doing is branding and growing yourself, because you got to realize every decision that you make, there's an effect of it.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? There is a consequences for the decisions. So you have to make sure that your decisions are filled not only with consequences, but education from the action. As a matter of fact, let me look to you. And I love the way we operate in the divine. You talk about the divine. Well, there's a spirit that has already meted out or set before us a great life. It really is.
Yes.
And consequences and natural things come into play. That's why when you're mentioning about the spirit and making sure that the spirit in each one of us that keep us breathing, that will give us an idea to want to do a job, or give us an idea to even desire to even want to work.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that inner spirit, or the divine spirit given, gives us one or two great ideas that can change our lives and impact the world. Right. You know, most entrepreneurs, business, have one or two employees to start for several years, and maybe it'll expand to 10. That is the basis of employment for this country, small business. It's a few employees. Right. But they take that one or two great ideas that they've been given and they act on it, while most of us simply do nothing with it and say, I wish I had. Right. That's why I really think what you're talking about, what we are talking about, and the mental and preparing for this entrepreneurship game is so crucial.
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, I wrote something down that came to me. Components of making a decision.
Wow. Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Now, first of all, decision. You define the dilemma or the problem. You define the need.
Yes.
within
yes.
your own self. What do I want to do? What do I need? I need money. And what do I want to do? So even with an idea, you have to know that there's a problem or a dilemma or something that needs solving, right? That somebody's going to need.
That's the first thing that the bank and any of the investment funds are going to ask you. What need are you addressing?
Right,
It's the
exactly.
number one question they're going to ask you.
Exactly.
And if you can't answer that within yourself on how you're going to do it, you've already lost the game.
Exactly. Then there is establish the criteria. I mean, establish the way you're going to get it done.
Yeah.
Even when you go to work and make the decision, and you know the need that you're feeling, right? So
Sure.
that's the dilemma or the problem that they have and that you're going to feel, right?
Yeah.
Then when you establish the criteria, meaning, okay, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to
Yeah.
teach me how am I going to do this. But in your mind, you have to consider the alternative. Right? Now, if
Absolutely.
if I don't do this and if I don't get the job, then what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? You consider,
survive? Sure.
right? How am I going to survive? Right? How am I going to survive? Then you identify the best alternative.
A plan B. Yeah.
Yes. Well, you know what? You say that, but to me, it's the plan A, because first of all, when you make a decision to do something, whatever it is that you've written out,
Sure.
you're going to know it's going to work anyway. You see what I'm saying? You don't want to do something and, well, if this don't quite work,
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Why? Because really, that inner spirit in you is got your back.
Sure.
You understand? When
Yeah,
you
I
said one or two ideas, remember?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
So it's going to have your back, right? And then you develop and implement the solution. Meaning, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to learn how they do it, and I'm going to do this.
Absolutely.
I'm going to make the difference.
You make it happen. Yep.
And then you evaluate the end results. Now, so what happens is, to me, it all adds up to counting up the cost.
Yes.
When you talk about finances,
Yes.
but you got to count up the cost first.
Yes. Yes, you do. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now, just thinking of the components of a decision, and what I said, what out of that, what I said, what do you see?
Well, first of all, I see a well thought out plan of action.
Now, say that again. Write this down.
A well thought out plan of action.
Yes.
You know, you have a course for your next steps. You've weighed consequence against those actions. You've said, hey, if I go this way and it doesn't work, what's my next strategy? Okay? You will find, if you research most of Fortune 500 America that we see across all of our brands and commercials, several of those businesses, if not most all of them, failed initially, and they had a restart, a rebranding, a retooling, and it's nothing different than any other small business, because they were all small businesses
At one point in time.
And so, getting back to where we're talking about with the decision making, one of the things that really just stood out when you gave that excellent definition of decision making is the idea that you really have to figure out, what would be an exit strategy? kind of what I heard there for myself, what I took away from it. After you've made these decisions, and it didn't go right, didn't go the way, or you maybe didn't plan it the right way, what would you do next? How would you go about that? How would you evolve your business to meet the need, that most powerful thing you started with? What is the need that you're answering as an entrepreneur that others will find a need to buy and support? Why would a venture capitalist give you funding and money to grow your business and invest in you? Because you've discovered a need somewhere. And when you made that decision to walk out there, I think that was just one of the other things that was very powerful for me.
Because when you identify the need, then you, within yourself, have to know you have a solution.
Yes. Without a solution that you could get others to actually believe enough to invest in and buy into, then it's going to be tough to get your business off the ground. So you've got to believe it first, right? You got to have that mental, spiritual fortitude to understand that you believe in this. We've all seen the pitches on TV, and they say, hey, you know what? I appreciate your offer to support my business, but it's not enough money because I believe in this and I think I can raise the capital on my own because I believe in this. Again, why we're talking about the mental and spiritual. But if you believe in it, you've got a game plan that you're willing to execute and persevere through, I think that's where you want to start for sure.
Well, it's so great. It was just so wonderful you said that because to me it sounds like the motivation. Write that down, motivation.
Wow.
What would motivate you when you saw, like you were saying, to keep going forward?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite words coming from a clinical psychology perspective in studying motivational theory and things like that. And for the business person, we found that most entrepreneurs were simply tired of working for someone else's vision. We found that women had become very frustrated with the quote-unquote glass ceiling, where they could not go beyond because of their gender. They've done everything. They can run the entire business, but there's nowhere, they won't get any further. They won't get to become senior partner. They won't become the president of the organization. And so they say, let me start my own business. African American women and women in general are the #1 small business entrepreneurs in the United States today and have been for the past few years.
Right. And as a matter of fact, when it comes to small businesses, women-owned small businesses is almost like 51%
Yes.
of the
Yeah.
categorized small business. That doesn't mean the big business, but you think in a whole United States when almost over half of the small businesses are ran by females. But then the dilemma for them and us has always been the financial weight of our knowing what we're doing to be paid less than the male. So we're going on break, and I am so glad you said that because that brings me to the next segment
I don't know.
of my thought. It says, what was in your mind that made you to decide that you were going to entrust your financial being on yourself?
Wow. Now that's powerful.
We'll be right back. Hey, we're back. And guess what? We were talking about, Sir Edward, getting your mind right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a licensed professional counselor with us today. That's what she does. She helps you get your mind right. And we're going to talk to her about we were talking about being an entrepreneur. Now, to me, when you decide you want to, your profession is to get somebody's mind right.
Wow. Yeah.
That's serious. Just imagine, that is your profession. That's the service that you want to give. And we're going to talk to Miss Denitra Gaines. And first of all, sweetheart, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We love having you here. And get used to her face because she'll be back. Remember, because this is all about you, globally, you. And it's entrepreneurship. Now, when you're an entrepreneur, you got to really have your head on straight. So, Denitra, talk to us a little bit about where you're coming from. But most of all, I want to know, before we go any further, what does made you make the decision, because that's the key word, to go into business as an LPC? Talk to us. Where are you coming from, and what made you decide, what the motivation and all of that? Because that's serious.
Well, I have always, I think I've always had a knack for just helping people. That even growing up, I was always the friend that everybody wanted to talk to, and
No, when you say growing up where? What part of the country creates people that want to help people in the mind?
Actually, my father was a Marine, so we traveled a lot when I was a kid. I was born in Cincinnati, but I lived on both coasts, East Coast, West Coast, and Hawaii growing up. And so I was always around a very diverse group of people. And I just liked people. I liked helping people. I like talking to people. People are very interesting to me. And so when I decided to go to college, psychology was a natural direction for me. From there, once I got my bachelor's degree, I kind of tried to figure out what else I wanted to do. And I still realized I still like people, still wanted to help people. And so the idea of counseling or psychotherapy was presented to me. And I was like, you know what? I think that's a natural fit for me. You know, helping people, talking to people, helping people figure out different situations in their life, whether it's completely mental health, whether it's behavioral, whether it's relationship oriented, what have you. It was just something that I felt like fit me very well.
Well, and in saying that, what do you think, Sir Edward? We was talking about decision. Define the dilemma or the problem.
Sure. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity here to have a professional who really looks at this thing from both sides of the coin. Not only as an entrepreneur and businesswoman yourself, but also as a licensed counselor to really help us navigate, some of the challenges that we face in saying, you know what, I'm going to jump out there and start my own business. I'm going to walk away from my 40-hour check every week that I can rely on. I'm going to go out there and really pursue this. And the angst, the anxiety that comes with starting your own business, it's very, very real. And I would imagine that you deal with folks coming from the business world who take some of the challenges from starting their own business, whether it succeeds or fails, and I imagine it would carry over into their personal relationships with their husband or spouse and even their children. I'm imagining you see that sometime in your profession.
Absolutely. I actually have a lot of referrals through the Employee Assistance Program where
Really?
professionals actually come to me due to the stressors on their jobs and things like that. Not everyone's cut out for the 9-to-5, and so the idea of starting their own business, I find that a lot of people want to do that, but there's a fear factor involved, that prohibits them from taking that next step. And so when I meet with them, a lot of times we sit down and we talk about those fear factors and try to problem solve from a different perspective and help them navigate, through those fears, as well as giving them practical advice that they can use, guiding them to different resources that would help them start their business and that type of thing. So a lot of people, I think a lot more people would be in business for themselves if the fear factor was not an issue.
Well, and that is so key that you say that, because the fear of what do you think? It's the fear of the financial or the fear of not entrusting the abilities that they have within themselves to do something? You know what I mean?
All of the above. All of the above. Like you mentioned, a 40-hour a week with a guaranteed paycheck, that's hard to walk away from, especially into the unknown, because you do have to trust that what you have to offer has value and that someone else would see that. And so helping people build their self-efficacy, the confidence within themselves, that is a huge part of helping them take that next step. Because if you lack confidence in presenting your product, whether it's yourself or something that you're making, then your customer base is not going to have that confidence in you either.
Absolutely.
And so we have to build that and nurture that in order to be successful.
And I'm so glad you said that part about your customer will feel that. And it's important for entrepreneurs to understand that's why talking to someone like you to get clarity in understanding, to eliminate the fear factor in what you're doing, because if you feel that way or uncertain about your own business, certainly that's going to spill over to the company.
Absolutely. It affects every aspect of your business, from, the risk you're willing to take to put yourself out there. It affects your business relationships. Everything is impacted by that. And so confidence is key to being successful. Failure is guaranteed, but how you rebound from that is what's going to help you sustain yourself as a business owner.
So look at that camera and write this down. Remember, with your pen and paper, confidence. You don't have to say it the exact same way, but reiterate the fact when you said talk about the confidence and the fear. That's the thin line that they have got to be able to recognize.
Yes, absolutely. Fear is always going to play a role in anything new. Having the confidence that whatever you're bringing to the table will sustain you is what's going to allow you to be successful. Failure is going to come. It's inevitable at times. But the way you rebound from that is by improving and nurturing your confidence and your self-esteem so that when failure does come, you're able to rebound and move forward and take it with a grain of salt.
Yes, I like that, the grain of salt, because, salt is sustaining. And that, when you say that, take it with a grain of salt, you do that because salt is sustaining. So you already know that when fear comes, it's actually, if you recognize fear, then you know where you have to put your confidence.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I think a lot of times we look at fear as a negative thing, but fear is actually there to make us more aware of something.
Yes.
It increases your awareness. You become hyper vigilant or hyper proactive in certain ways. So fear has a purpose. We look at fear and, everything says be strong, be fearless. But fear is natural. You're going to be fearful. But if you know how to navigate it and you understand that fear is there just to bring your awareness to something, to focus, to pay attention to something, then you begin to see the areas that you need to correct and improve upon.
Yes. Oh, I like that. Oh, that was good.
Wonderful. Yeah, I was wondering, and you touched on this, about a lot of organizations, companies are referring their employees. Why now, in 2019, 2018, I think the trend started, why is employee wellness taking on such a important role in corporate America, and they're recognizing mental health as something they've got to address? Because, in my years in corporate America, it was scarcely talked about, but now, they want to check the box and make it available through, wonderful resources like your own.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of factors there. I mean, we've seen through history disgruntled employees, who've gotten fired, but when you listen to their story, oftentimes they've tried to present issues to their bosses and it was overlooked. And so I think on one hand, a lot of companies are trying to be proactive and tune into their employees' needs. But I also think that when you take care of the individual, then the company does better in the long run.
Sure.
If they feel cared for, if they feel that their lives matter, they're more open to giving you more of themselves.
Right.
And so for a business, that is a benefit. So why not invest in your employee, even mentally, physically, what have you? So.
And you're sitting there saying that, and my the memory bank of my life, it rolls back to, you're right, and this was back in the 70s when I got into more of the corporate management field, and that has always been at the top of my list. And I would look at CEOs and general managers, and they would treat the employees like peons, and they would use that term. Oh, those are the peons. I mean, back in the 70s, the employees were not allowed to call me by my first name or anybody in management. They had to call me Mrs. Jones. Right? Anybody in management.
Sure. Sure.
And I'm here thinking, and I got called on the carpet because I would sit on my lunch or break with the employees, right?
Oh, don't do that.
Oh, no, and that was it. I said, oh, don't do that. You can't do that. You can't sit with them. I said, well, you can't sit with the cashiers. Excuse me? Do you not understand that this company's funds, all your millions of dollars is coming through them peons' hands?
Yeah, the backbone.
Do you know those are the ones that are running your cash register? And you're doing what? Oh, no, can't do it.
Right.
Can't do it. Well, at least I'm calling you Mrs. Jones. Depending on the age of the person, I understand that, but and it took me a while for them to understand that that's not going to, That's not what making you the money. And that's why here it just got to 2000. When you say 18 is when they started that wellness mindset.
Well, it may have started a little beforehand, but where
I've been trying to tell you guys that all the time. That is how your money come into here. Customer service. Oh, no. They're on the phone with those customers. And if they say something crazy, that customer that's spending $1,500 a day calling and ordering something, you wonder what happened to them. Because what did you do to that employee that made them mad? Excuse me. So you're right. It's the company is not the building. IBM is not that 20-story glass building with the big leather weed chairs. It's the individuals that make the company.
Absolutely.
And for you to take on such a task, because sometimes I'm sure we got to go on break, but and I want you to address this when we come back. A lot of times, by the time you get to them, they're so disgruntled, they almost go postal on you sitting there, right?
I haven't had that yet, but by the time they get to me, they feel like they're out of options.
Yes.
They've exhausted their own means of coping by that point. So
Right.
yes.
So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back. Remember, this is all about you and being an entrepreneur and understanding the value that's in you. Don't let anybody take it away.
And we're back. Globally You, we've had a fantastic show today.
Yes.
Talking about how to inspire entrepreneurs, getting your mind right. And with that, I'd like to turn to our licensed counselor. Tell us what makes your practice unique in helping folks get where they need to be. Tell us about exactly what you like to share.
Well, my background, my degree is actually in marriage and family therapy. So I have, so although I help professionals, I guess my base of information is more specific to the individual and the family unit.
Yes.
And so that directly impacts, a person's success, a person's
Yes, of
ability, a
course.
person's desire to want to succeed, to go into business.
Right.
And so I use a lot of different techniques from motivational interviewing to what we call cognitive behavioral therapy, where you directly change your thinking, which changes your behavior, and that ultimately changes the outcome of what you do. And so I use a lot of those techniques with all of my clients, depending on what the issues are.
Right.
I do address things more severe, such as bipolar, depression, anxiety, all of those things. But I feel like I have a special connection with a lot of female business owners, professionals that come in. Most of my clients are African American women between the ages of 22 to 52. So they're all out there working, and so they seem to come in and gravitate towards me, which is a great thing.
Sure.
And I think it helps to see a familiar face or a similar face that can help guide you a bit in your endeavors. And so the practice that I'm with, we're all African American women, and we're all professionals. We all know the ins and outs of how to be successful, the pitfalls of what failure looks like and feels like, and how to navigate that. So I think that gives us a unique perspective on how to help.
Fantastic.
It's almost like specializing in being, of course, whatever you are, you looking at you, they know, well, there's got to be some connection here as far as just to look at it, aside from the fact of female that would do that. And also when you say gravitate to you, Sir Edward and I always mention this in our show about the spiritual aspect. There are expressions and spirits within us that are drawn to you. Probably one of the reasons they feel you really care.
Yes, I do.
Really?
I do, yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of times people do things and they don't have that deep caring that your spirit will give, to whereas that's the spirit that draws an
Absolutely.
individual to another individual.
Yes.
I agree. With counseling relationships, therapeutic relationships, at the end of it, it's all relationship based, and so there has to be a connection with the other individual. Every relationship, every person that walks into my office is not a good fit with me, and that's
Right.
fine. And we'll talk about that, and I encourage them to find a good fit. You're only going to get out of it what you can put into it, and so if you come in and you feel guarded or you feel that you cannot open up, we're going to be limited in what we can do while you're here. So the relationship aspect and just connecting with another individual, absolutely, that is definitely important.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just don't hear that
Right.
from the counselors, therapists. We know they do it in-house, but you don't, to use this forum to say, hey, it may not be a good fit for you, you know, but
Yeah.
I mean, that says a lot about who you are
Right.
as a professional and someone to entrust, your deepest, thoughts to. I mean, that is wonderful to hear. And the fact that you use cognitive behavioral therapy, I believe that is probably one of the most successful ways
It
of
is.
really helping folks to make a change in their everyday lives. And so it's a wonderful approach. And so I definitely encourage everyone to get your pen and your pad out, because we're going to find out how to get a hold of this wonderful, wonderful guest that we have today.
And that being said, now I want you to look at that camera and give them the contact information where they can get in touch with you, because it sounds like to me, to you is, if I can't help you, I know somebody that can.
Absolutely.
So look at that camera and give them some contact information for you.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Denitra Gaines. I can actually be found on several websites. I can be found on blacktherapistRocks.com.
Wow.
I'm also on psychologytoday.com.
Oh, one of my favorites. Yeah.
The website for our practice is Clarity Psychological Group. We are located at 3915 Cascade Road, Southwest Atlanta, in Suite 250. And so definitely give me a call.
So they can just, Google all of that
Yes,
you said,
you can Google
and
me.
you're there.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but seriously, if you can, you know how people just Google Denitra Gaines,
Yes,
right?
you can Google me. My kids Google me. So. Yes.
Well, you know what? We really, truly enjoyed you taking the time out to come and share. And now this is not just a one-shot deal, because here at Globally You, we want people to get continuing education.
Absolutely.
And we want them to get it from familiar people that they entrust in knowing and you saying what you say, and you mean what you say. Because we don't want them to, go, get something from Susie Jane one time and then somebody else come in here. And we want to get the people that we know and feel and trust that the best interest of our audience is why you're here. And not just to be on TV or radio and da-da-da-da-da and do the dance, but because your heart is for the people.
Absolutely. Thank
And
you.
we really, really appreciate that, because that's the only people we work with, isn't it?
Yes,
It's all right.
when she came in, wonderful energy, and as I said before, getting your mind right is just priceless, and having a resource not only for our business community but for all people, it's just wonderful. And unfortunately, within our community, we don't reach out as often as we should to strengthen our minds or become healthy there, and that's a whole nother show we'll have you back for. But they go hand in hand, and really becoming a wonderfully well-rounded business person and community in general.
Well, I ditto everything he said. And audience, write the name down once again, Denitra Gaines, and she is a LPC.
Yes.
All right? And we will be back with more information, because it's always all about you. Globally, you. We're back. Now, get ready, because we're going to wrap this up. So the key words today was decision and motivation. 2 words: decision, motivation. And that brings us to what we were talking about when you said that really rung a bell with me about the financial. What would make an individual decide to entrust their financial well-being on themselves?
It's got to be.
And not that
one
guaranteed check.
Yes, that is a
When you
powerful
know,
question.
yeah, come on now. Take a look at the mirror. Look at yourself and look into your own eyes and ask yourself, what is it in me that I know I can rest my financial well-being on myself? Talk to the audience, Sir Edward.
That has got to be one of the most powerful questions that we've asked.
Yeah, because that's the one you really got to get into and understand when you got an idea about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. That is the crux. That is where the rubber meets the road.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
Did you hear what she said?
Skid marks
She
all over the
said,
place, isn't it?
Get a mirror. So while you got your pen,
Right.
your pad, take a moment after the show,
Right.
look in the mirror like Dr. D just told you, and hold up that pad with the name and the title of your company, your organization, right beside you. Hold it up.
Right.
Right?
Ooh, that's
Company,
good.
Company ABC. And ask yourself, are you ready for this journey? Right? Oh, by the way, the name and the title of your company is important to venture capitalists and the banks and anyone else in SBA that's willing to invest in you. So
Right.
it matters. So you're going to take time. But we're going
Right.
to talk about that good stuff later.
Yes,
We're going to
yes.
get down to the brass tacks of finance and how you name your company, why you name your
Right,
company,
right,
etc. But today, that question of why you would put it all on the line, walk away from that 40 hours. Some of us are working 50, 60 hours, and you only get paid for 40. And that's part of the reason you want to become an entrepreneur. Today, you're looking in the mirror and you're going to say, what about my vision? What about my dream makes me want to do this? Why am I tuning in to Dr. D
And Sir Edward.
and Global U
Yes.
every week?
Yes.
Because I'm ready to do this.
Yes.
Because I believe in this dream.
Right.
Because it's time. Have you answered that question? Do you know exactly what it is
Ooh, yes,
about
serious.
your dream, your vision that's been inside you for so long
Right.
that says it's time to be an entrepreneur?
Right.
When you can answer that question, that's when it's time to step out there. That's when it's time to tune in to us about funding and naming your company and all the things that you need to do and making sure that you've managed all the different things, the risk, etc. But until you can answer that question,
Right.
you're not ready to be an entrepreneur.
Right. And another thing that I found being an entrepreneur, once you feel that you want to be in your mind, because we're talking about getting your mind right.
Yes.
Then you start strategically planning. When and when we go back to that first move, when we made the decision, you define the dilemma. Meaning, now, if you are working on someone else's job, then you've got to learn to invest in yourself. And that means instead of, when you take your break, instead of sitting chit-chatting and talking about what's going on at that job, you have a composition book sitting over in the corner quietly, strategically planning your business. I did it. Understand?
Wow.
So just because you're working on somebody else's job, it does not mean that you neglect yourself.
Don't give them too much yet. You got to tune in next week.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Did you
Reel
order
it
that?
back in.
Get your composition book during your lunch break for you, for your time.
Yes.
Okay? You're going to get paid for 8 hours, even
Right.
if you work 10, 12,
Right.
or 15 that day.
Right.
But let me tell you, that hour you invest in yourself,
Yes.
Dr. D just gave you,
Yes.
that was worth the price of gold right there. That's the price of admission, keeping that composition book
Yes,
with you.
you're right. You're
Wow,
right.
that was powerful.
Yeah, it's true. I did it.
I feel like getting my own book out right now. But this is for you all right now.
Yeah, you can do that because what happens is I found for me when I worked in the corporate office for 40 years, and the reason I can say this with a smile on my face, because the last corporate job that I had, they called me and just said to me, before you log in, because I work from home, so I'm already in the mode of controlling my own time and knowing how to work from home. Because, you know, being an entrepreneur, you work from home.
Yeah, that's where you start.
That's where your office is. And I get this call that tells me, call the office before you log in. So I call the office, and the girl tells me, you don't have to log in today. We no longer need your service.
Wow.
Would you please bring the equipment back to the office?
Oh, yes. They definitely want the equipment.
Understand me?
Yes. Wow. And you were there how long?
Almost 7 years.
Wow.
Well, I was there for 10 years. I worked almost 7 years from home.
Yeah.
And I was training everybody from home. This is how you can be good at what you do.
Absolutely.
I'm training people, and I'm at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're calling me, and I'm
like
training them from my office in my house. Well, I already had my house office. So when they told me your service is no longer needed, the first thing I did, now you guys don't know this, but I'm going to tell you, I did what we call a Holy Ghost two-step.
Beautiful.
I'm out.
Beautiful.
But this is what I'm saying about making your strategy plan.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And that's what you were saying. So when we talk about that, we have a few more minutes.
Sure.
Just explain the magnitude of how it is when you place your own financial well-being into your own hands.
Yes. I mean, it's a tremendous decision, right? You know, you have this stated organization, company that's been there for years. Someone else built that dream. You're an employee of it. You know you're going to get a check, you know, and, unless you work for a smaller entity that could be acquired at any given moment. A lot of mergers and acquisitions are going on today, and it's totally out of your control. Major banks are merging right now, right here in the state of Georgia. Two major powerhouses are merging.
Yes.
You know, we won't go into their names. I don't remember them on the sponsorship page. But
situation.
But we have a wonderful relationship with them nonetheless. But it is something that you can't predict. And when that merger happens, you look at the national paper or the local paper here, and you see hundreds of people are going to be laid off. And so that's out of their control. And at that same time, you have the other side where folks are spiritually, mentally preparing themselves to be independent, and they're planning to do it. So my take is, why not be an entrepreneur? Why not plan to take on your own destiny?
Yes.
And weigh those consequences in every way possible that could affect your life, your family's life, your children's life. I mean, entrepreneurs impact the whole of the family once they take that step and they become successful. And while they're getting there, a lot of times they have to rely on family and friends to help them do the things they just simply can't pay for up front.
Right. And even in that aspect, you look to that as people that are collaborating financially, supporting you, and all of that. And even when you don't have that, if you have the desire to build, you should be having the desire to build within your own self.
Absolutely. It's got to start there.
Within you.
It's got to start there. If you don't start within yourself, you will not get where you need to go, because that's your foundation.
Right.
That is the base of your organization. It's you.
Right. You are the business.
Yes. Essentially, there's no other CEO at that point.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And you are the greatest and the most powerful ambassador of your brand. And so it's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful, freeing experience to know that you've got your vision, your hope off the ground.
Right.
And I'm so grateful that you've decided to bring this to our Global U audience today. A wonderful topic.
Well, you know, we're about out. The director's giving us the cutthroat sign here.
Goodness.
But, you know, we always want to leave them with words of encouragement, because that's what we're here for. We're here to inspire. We're here to encourage. We're here to empower. But most of all, we're here to educate. And we do that because we love people.
Yes.
We want people to be the best individual that they were born to be. And you always need a little bit of a push to do that. And when you deserve the best that you can be, every day you're breathing.
Absolutely. That's the way he made this.
So give them a little word of encouragement before we get out of here for them to understand, coming from the heart of a man.
Okay.
Right.
My word of encouragement is self-belief.
Yes.
Believe in thyself.
Right.
Believe in you. Raise this thing up to a higher power.
Right,
Because I
right.
think it's the natural order, to
Right,
have a
right.
spiritual guide. But you've got to believe in yourself and know that you can accomplish great things.
Right.
Self-belief, the inner strength to take action. Take that step forward. Be an
Right.
entrepreneur. But come back here to get the education, the fundamentals, and the substance you need. Yes.
Because our coming together was we felt the need that someone to entrust with the knowledge of the importance of understanding who you are. Because no matter what anybody tells you, we all have greatness in us. And that's why we always say it's all about you.
Absolutely.
Globally, you. We love you, and we're here because we care.
And we've got so many people, so many partners, by the way, out there, from different, from startup funding, banks, etc. So many, high net worth individuals reaching out to us because they believe in what we're doing,
Yes.
and they're looking for entrepreneurs to support.
Yes,
They're looking
yeah.
for people just like you who have a spirit of starting their own business and making an impact on their lives, on the community, and
Right.
making the world a better place.
Because that's what makes the world go round, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I want to thank those people, too, who support our
Yes, yes, indeed. And we thank you once again. We'll be back. We've only just begun.